Hello there guys, I am the CHALL, your Doncaster Rovers channel, and welcome to this little preview towards the next game this weekend. Charlton Athletic against Doncaster Rovers, and I said MK Dons, that was last weekend. We're facing Charlton this weekend, and it's at the Valley, and you know what, I thought I'd get a little early prediction going on, so I thought I'd join a Charlton fan, Tyler Rowlinson. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. First of all, let's talk about Charlton because that's our opponent. Charlton Athletic winning 2-0 against Crewe Alexandra. What was that performance? And, with everything going off field with the ownership situation, how Lee Bowyer got that team to work like clockwork. You've got to admit it was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, something I must admit I didn't expect. I was expecting us to take a couple of hits for the first few games because, obviously, as you're probably aware, we're under a lot of restrictions right now. We can only have 23 players in our team. Most of those fielded by academy players that have never played for our under 23s, let alone our first team. But as you say, pretty impressive that he got that team together to beat a full strength League One side. We did start slow. We did start slow like we tended to do in the Championship last year, but Crewe were very poor in possession, and they made a few mistakes which we pounced on, and we took our chances well in the first half and got the job done. They were the better team in the second half, though. I must admit they absolutely came out the doors, guns blazing, hit the crossbar, full style keeper into some decent saves, but they just couldn't put their chances away. They should really have scored in that game. I think the 2-0 scoreline was a bit unfair to them. I think they probably should have scored one and maybe even come away with a point. But I'll happily take the 3 points the opening day, considering everything going on. It's a great start for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the fact that one of the goals came from your debutants, Connor Washington, that's got to feel good for a debut, especially with the club like Charlton in the situation they're in right now.
Yeah, for sure. It was a well taken goal as well. Another was a mistake that was pounced on. Again, our centre back steamed in on a loose ball, headed it over about three defenders, and Washington was there to stick it in the near post. I must admit, Washington, obviously coming in from Hearts, he was our new signing that I was most critical of because his goal record over the years is less than impressive, to say the least. But I think that if Bowyer could get the best out of him, he could be a really good player at this level. And to see him get a goal already is proof that he can do it at this level. And it's a massive, massive confidence boost for him. And I think that if he can keep this consistency up, he could be a player that could get 10, 15 goals this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially again, the win was great, but especially against a team like Crewe Alexandra, who were coming off a big run of momentum, getting automatic promotion to League One. And the last time we saw him in League One was about, a few years ago? So it must have been a pretty big high for Crewe. But, to be fair, like you said, Charlton, maybe the result was a bit unfair to them. So you maybe think Crewe Alexandra could bounce back from this?
I think they should. They've got quality in that team. Charlie Kirk, obviously, last season was superb for them. To keep hold of him is a massive achievement in itself. The signings they've made so far, I've been impressed with. Zanzala from Accrington, Mandron from Gillingham, he hit the crossbar in that game. Daniels from Luton, very physical centre back. Luke Murphy from Bolton, experienced midfielder. They've done well this window, and I think that with that added momentum, as you say, from League Two, and I think their spirits will be high and they'll be looking to stay up. And obviously, as we all know, League Two sides who come up to League One tend to do really well at the first time of asking. And I think Crewe will be in that category. In my predictions video, I predicted them to stay up, but only just. It will be a struggle for Crewe. I do think that, but I think that with the spirits of getting promoted from League Two and some of the signings they've made, it will be enough to keep them up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just get your thoughts on the other results today. On Saturday, one particular result stuck out in my mind, and I'm sure it sticks out in your mind. It is the Accrington win against Peterborough 2-0. We were expecting Peterborough to be, promotion favourites. We had some of their cocky fans giving it large. How good did it feel to have Accrington shut up those fans that are cocky and arrogant, and love to hear those whinging and moaning?
That's the beauty of League One. That is the beauty of League One because League One is very close to the Championship in that anyone can beat anyone. And this weekend was a prime example. You had Accrington beating Peterborough, Lincoln beat Oxford, which was a surprise. But Accrington was such a surprise because relegation favourites this season, Peterborough favourites to win the league as they always are. And as you say, Peterborough, renownedly, their fan base giving it the big and giving it large to to other fans, and then they just bottle it every single season. But it was a shock, especially considering Peterborough's players, Johnson, Clark, Harris, Aisa, Smodics. They've got really good players, and then Accrington just come at the blocks and smash them, do them like that. But there were so many results this weekend. Lincoln, as I say, and then you had Northampton and Wimbledon drawing 2-2, Swindon beating Rochdale. There was Sunderland drawing, which wasn't too much of a surprise, to be honest. But yeah, it was. This weekend was mental, but Accrington stood out as a very, very big surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking ahead then to the Doncaster game, because of course, you guys are coming off a victory. We would have come off with a victory if it wasn't for Bailey Cargill getting a late goal. But to be fair, we were dominated in that game and we needed more creativity in the midfield. Are you looking at Doncaster thinking it's going to be a walkover game, or do you think that Doncaster will be tough because we do have those quick players like Rayhan Tulloch, who in my opinion was one of the man of the matches?
It will not be easy. We can't sit there and say Doncaster, we're going to walk all over them, because obviously our squad is not a finished product. We've still got a lot of work to do. But as we were talking about yesterday over on Instagram, you've kept some good players. Ben Whiteman in particular was a massive surprise to see him stay. I thought he'd be playing in the Championship at least, but to keep hold of him, he's one of the best midfielders in this league by a mile. And you've got some other players in there, as you say, Tulloch, very good player from West Brom, Taylor Richards from Brighton on loan, Tyrese John Jules from Arsenal, who nearly joined us, actually. We were going to sign him until the restrictions let us down, and then you got him, and I think he could be decent at tearing up this league this year. You've got some good players in there, and I think that, again, as we were speaking about, you lot will be looking for revenge, because the last time we did play, it was the playoff semi-final, and obviously we all know how that went. But yeah, you will be looking to come to the Valley and get some revenge, and you definitely won't be a walkover. You'll give us a good fight like Crewe did. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, touching on that playoff semi-final, we do owe you a victory for revenge for that. I mean, to be fair, you didn't beat us, you beat John Marquise, but we'll move on from that. We haven't got John Marquise now, so we've got no more excuses. We need to build up from this. And, I saw an article after the MK Dons game, and I think the last statement of the article says it for Doncaster, and I think it says it for Charlton as well, despite the victory. I think the real work starts here because, game week 1 is about getting that winning momentum. Teams that don't, like Doncaster didn't, the real work starts in the second game when you have to get victories.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. And obviously, as you just touched upon, Charlton starting with that win over Crewe, we've now got that momentum to get that second win. But obviously, Doncaster will be, no disrespect to Crewe, but Donny will be a tougher opponent than Crewe, and you will give us a good fight.
Yeah, I think we'll hopefully give you a good match. So looking then at predicted lineups, now I've got mine. Now, of course, this will change between now and Friday, because of course you guys know we'll be doing a preview before the game on Friday. This is just a little broader look at the start of the week. Before we go into your Charlton lineup, I want to give you my, sort of your predictions about how Charlton's going to line up. I'm going to give you my Doncaster predicted lineup. So, looking on the base of the MK Dons game and the fact we've got a full fit squad to choose from again, of course that can change between now and Friday. We've got Bursick in goal, Reece James, Joe Wright, Tom Anderson, Brad Halliday. So again, back four, didn't do too bad in the last game. I thought Halliday stood out a bit more, but Anderson and Wright, good partnership, and of course Reece James obviously needs to do a couple more stuff. Whiteman and Gomez, dangerous midfield. Magic Gomez tipped to do wonders this season, and of course Ben Whiteman, our captain and our star player. The front three, the wingers and the cam, was an interesting one for me, but I think despite the calls that Coppinger should start, I'm going to go with that front three of John Taylor on the left, Lakilo on the right, Taylor on the left, and Richards at cam, and then Tulloch up front, and then on the bench, Jones, John, Amos, Williams, Coppinger, Okunabiri, and John Jules. I mean, your thoughts on that predicted lineup? It's tough because Coppinger's been called to start. Obviously, John Jules put a good shift in, but again, Tulloch up front would be dangerous as well as he is on the wing. I mean, what are your thoughts on that predicted lineup?
It does sound like a threat, in particular going forward. Obviously, Tulloch up front, obviously, then Lokilo from Palace, who signed on a permanent. There's players in there, like tricky, pacey players that could cause us problems. And then, of course, you've got Whiteman in the defensive line, a good in front of the defensive line, and obviously a solid back line as well, with Bursick in goal, who you were saying put in a decent performance against Dons. Coppinger, in terms of Coppinger being called to start, Doncaster legend. He is a good player, one of the more experienced players in this league. And I mean, it's whether, I don't know about whether him. I mean, obviously fans calling for him to start. I'm not sure about him starting over the players that obviously have got a lot of flair and technicality. But I mean, he could be someone to come off the bench and make an impact from there. But overall, I think that Donny team is definitely capable of causing us problems.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the Charlton team, then who do you think could, start? Looking at this very early stage before the match.
At the moment, I don't expect us to make all too many changes, but I think that with the news that we could get, that apparently our takeover of the club of the off the field matters could apparently be done by Wednesday, and with our manager saying that we've apparently got 4 deals ready to go when the embargo is uplifted, our team could look a lot different from the weekend. But at this current stage, judging by, say, that this doesn't happen with the current team, I don't expect us to make all too many changes. So I'd go with Ben Amos in goal, who obviously very experienced League One keeper, made a couple of saves against Crewe. A back 4 of Ben Purrington, Dejoshi Larger, Darren Prattley and Charlie Barker. Decent backline. Prattley playing out of position. He's normally a central midfielder, but he's had to come in at centre-back because our other fully fit centre-back is currently injured. And then Barker is one of the 17-year-olds that's had to be brought into the first team. Never played a minute of under 23s, let alone the first team. Had to make his league debut against Crewe, played at right back when he's normally a centre-back, and he was superb. Like, you'd take a look at Barker and you'd think that he's been playing in League One for years. He's so composed on the ball. He was spraying passes left, right and centre across the pitch. So physical as well, built like a unit. I'd highlight him as a player to look out for. Middle 3, we go with a 4-3-3 formation. The 3 in the middle would be Jake Forster-Caskey, Alex Gilbey and George Lapsley. Forster-Caskey, good player, a bit injury prone though. Gilbey, new signing from MK Dons, he's rock in the middle of the pitch. He'll be so good for us. And then Lapsley, a product of the academy, I really rate him. And then as for the 3 up top, Connor Washington on the left wing, Alfie Doughty on the right wing, another player to look out for. Very, very pacey player, and I think he's our best academy products at the club right now. And then Macaulay Bonne leading the line up front as well. 11 goals in the Championship last season. Very, very good. As for the bench, probably Maynard Brewer, Erhanas Tumar, Dylan Levitt. Who else should probably be on the bench? I can't think. James Vennings, maybe. Chuck Sanike and Johnny Williams probably will be on there as well. So not too many changes. Not any changes, in fact, to the Crewe game. We played well with that team. It's more than capable of causing issues, and that there is some big threats in that side. But it's not a finished product. If the takeover is to go through on Wednesday, it could look a lot different. But that team, I think, is a very solid side considering the circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. So looking then, like you said, if the takeover does go ahead on Wednesday, 4 signings apparently ready to go. Who would you like? I mean, because you've got a winning team there already, so you wouldn't want to break it up unless there is a dip in form against us on Saturday. What, in terms of the 4 signings, what areas of the pitch do you think that you need to improve? Is it just squad depth? Is it just new bench players, or is it players that could break from the bench into the first team if the first team have a dip in form?
It's a bit of both, really. I think obviously we've only got 23 players, so depth is needed, and quite badly. But there are a lot of areas in the pitch that need to be invested in. Obviously, we don't have a right back at the moment. We're having to play 17-year-old Charlie Barker at right back, and sometimes George Lapsley, who's a central midfielder. So we do need a right back and probably 2 to cover for that. Centre back is another area that needs depth. We've only got 2 senior first team centre backs, and one of them is injured. So we do need to bring in 1 or maybe 2. I think we could do with another striker, another bagsman up top. I mean, it depends on what formation Bowyer wants to play. Typically, we play a 4-4-2 diamond, but he's gone with a 4-3-3 against Crewe, which hasn't worked in the past, but it did work on the weekend, and it caused threats. But I think another area is midfield. I think it could do with some added depth and a little bit of quality in there, because I mean we've got an abundance of midfielders in the squad already. I think we've got 11 or so, but most of them is made up of youngsters that, in my opinion, some of them are not ready to make the step up to League One yet. So I think that we could do with a lot of players in that area. So there are areas that need improving. In terms of potential targets that we're looking for, there's one that's been, I don't know how strong this is, but I think that if we can get hold of him, he will be an absolute he will be an absolute gem, and that's Marcus Maddison. He's obviously a free agent right now. I think Sunderland have been linked with him. We nearly signed him in January last season, but the restrictions got in our way. He's still a free agent currently. He has been linked with us, but I'm not sure how strong that rumour is. I think a very reliable journalist did say that he knows one of the players that we're signing, apparently, and he is an eyebrow raiser. So a lot of people were thinking Maddison instantly, thinking he's going to be that player, but we're not sure yet. But he is one of the players that we have been linked with, and if we can get him, then my God, our attacking line is definitely improved from there. And with the players we've already got. But yeah, there's a lot of areas of the pitch that need improving, mainly the defensive line, which has little to no depth or quite a little bit of quality that is missing. So we do need areas in that defensive line.
Yeah, definitely from the sounds of it. So with the takeover potentially going ahead on Wednesday, do you think, and I don't want to cause any division or anything like that, do you think Lee Bowyer, currently, could be the manager to potentially take you back to Premier League football? Do you think he could grow as a manager?
100%. I mean, the fact that he's still here is a credit to himself. He came in as a caretaker in 2017-18 after Carl Robinson got sacked. We were sitting in 9th place, nowhere near the playoffs, and he guided us into that playoffs. We didn't go up, but to get that team, which was shocking, it was a shocking Charlton side, to get that team in the playoffs was obviously a miracle in itself. And he's been here for 3 years now, and throughout that time, he's had absolutely no budget to work with, no money whatsoever, nothing coming in from the ownership. So if this takeover is to go through, he'll finally have that budget to work with. And by the sounds of it, our new prospective owner who wants to buy us has said that he is 100% with Bowyer. He knows what he has done to our club. Obviously, I mean, to get our team promoted 2 seasons ago with the circumstances is impressive. And to keep us up would have been a miracle in itself. We were favourites to go down, and we unfortunately did go down on the final day in the last minute. But to do the job that he's done is a miracle with what he's had to work with. And honestly, he deserves so much better than us. And I think that he's very underrated as a manager, very, very underrated. And he's been linked with all over the place with so many championship jobs, but he's stuck by us. And he said that I want to go on a journey with this club. And he said, I want to take us to the next level. And I think that if we do get this investment and we can get out of League One at the first time of asking, I think it will be like up from there on. And I think that we could become a stable championship side. And within the next few years, who knows, we could be fighting for that Premier League challenge. But Bo is the man. He is the man to take us forward.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have my own opinions. I haven't expressed them yet on the channel, but I do have my own opinions on Bowyer, and I do think, along with Danny Cowley, I think he's probably one of the underrated managers that I think could be a future Premier League manager. So, yeah, I definitely think that Bowyer could be the man to bring Charlton back to Premier League football in the future. Looking then at the rest of the fixtures going into Matchweek 2, of course, there's loads of 3 o'clocks again on Saturday. I think there's a fixture as well on the Sunday, like this weekend just gone. So I'm going to give you, we'll sort of share our predictions going into Matchweek 2 for the other fixtures. So let's start off then with Peterborough against Fleetwood. Of course, Peterborough losing to Accrington and Fleetwood beating Burton Albion 2-1. I mean, my prediction is probably going to be a 2-2 draw because I think Fleetwood will score goals. I think Peterborough will try and bounce back, but I think it'll be a point apiece and Peterborough will maybe stay in that relegation zone. What's your prediction going into Peterborough-Fleetwood?
Like you say, I think that's got a draw written all over it. I think Fleetwood obviously beating Burton, Peterborough with a shock defeat to Accrington. They'll be looking to bounce back, but Fleetwood are a very good side under Joey Barton. Both of their attacks have goals in them. Do you know what? I will back that 2-2 draw. I think I'll back that. I think that's going to be that'll be one of the more entertaining fixtures this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. So next up, Oxford United hosting Sunderland. Of course, Oxford with that shock 2-0 loss to Appleton's amazing Lincoln City, who could be a potential underdog for promotion. Sunderland with a 1-1 draw with 10 men against Bristol Rovers. I felt that Sunderland playing 5 at the back under Phil Parkinson was a bad formation. Maybe Scowen will get a chance with the suspension now to the midfield. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I'm predicting probably a 1-0 win for Oxford. I think there won't be too many goals, but I think that Oxford will get the 3 points.
Yeah, that'll be a game I think that can go either way. I think that's got 0-0 or 1-0 either way all over it. I think I mean, Oxford's defeat to Lincoln, they'll be looking to bounce back. And Sunderland, I mean, I've expressed my views about this Sunderland team on my channel, and I've said that it is very lacklustre. There's a lot of players in that team that I just don't think are good enough. I don't rate the manager, Phil Parkinson. I don't think he's the man that's going to get them promoted. It's tough to call, but I think Sunderland might nick it 1-0. I might go the other way with that. And I think Sunderland might just about sneak a 1-0. It's going to be a tight game, but I think Oxford's, I don't know, something about them. I just think Sunderland might just nick something.
Yeah, I definitely think that could be the case. Looking ahead then, Blackpool-Swindon. I mean, Blackpool lost 1-0 to Plymouth, their first game back in League One, Plymouth. And of course, Swindon beating Rochdale 3-1. That was a comfortable victory for Swindon. They've got some good players in there. Do you think it's going to be a Seasiders win, or do you think the League Two champions are going to nick it, or do you think it will be a point apiece? My opinion, I think it will be maybe a 1-1 draw. I mean, Blackpool might just steal it.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be an interesting one. I think obviously I didn't expect Blackpool to lose to Plymouth with the signings that they've made. Blackpool have been accused of buying the league with the amount of signings they've made, and I've been really impressed by their business. Actually, they've signed so many players. Swindon, it was comfortable, but they were playing a very poor Rochdale side that I think that probably will be finishing rock bottom of the league this year. But obviously, it's a good start. They'll be willing to keep that momentum going. Blackpool will be willing to bounce back. I'll edge a 2-1 win to Blackpool. I think that they'll bounce back and they'll get that win.
Okay. Let's go in then to MK Dons Lincoln. Of course, MK Dons got a 1-1 draw against us. Lincoln beating Oxford. I mean, I'm thinking a 3-1 win for Lincoln. Even though MK Dons showed good signs against Doncaster, I think that Lincoln might just get the victory over them.
Yeah, I think Lincoln will probably be coming out on top of that as well. MK Dons, they are a good team. I mean, they've been hit quite a lot in the window as well. They've lost two of their best players, Gilby and Healy. Richard Keogh, very experienced in the back. He'll give them that experience, cutting edge. But yeah, I think I'll go with another 2-0 win to Lincoln on that one. I think they'll kick on again, and they might go top of the league with that win.
Yeah, definitely. So the next result is coincidentally our two teams. So it's Charlton Doncaster. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win Doncaster. I think they'll just edge it, but we'll have that attack in front. I mean, looking at your team, looking at our team, what do you think? Do you think it'll be a win for Charlton, or do you think it could be tighter than that and maybe a point apiece, or maybe a Doncaster win?
It will be a tight affair. It will be a very, very tight affair. Obviously, we'll be looking to kick off our campaign at the Valley with a win. Doncaster will be looking for revenge for that playoff semi-final. I don't know which way this could go. I mean, obviously, I could just go with my head and say Charlton are going to win 5-0, but that's not going to be the case. You know what? I think it's going to be 1-1 draw. I think we'll take the lead, but then I think that the second half against Crewe was something to worry about because we allowed them to dominate us. Thankfully, they didn't take their chances, but Donny are a team that will. And I think that you will probably get an early goal in the second half, and then we'll try to get that winner. But I think we'll end up falling short. You'll give us a good game, and I think the points will be shared in London, which is slightly painful to say, but I think it'll be a good game. It'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, it definitely could be an interesting game. Looking then at the next one, Bristol Rovers hosting Ipswich Town. I mean, Ipswich Town yesterday got the victory 2-0 over Wigan Athletic, who are in all sorts of trouble as well. Bristol Rovers 1-1 draw with Sunderland. That's a good result for them, even though I think they deserved all 3 points in my opinion. That's going to be a tough one because Bristol have made a lot of signings. Ipswich trying to get into promotion, but with the ownership they've got, despite the play, I think Ipswich maybe could fall short and bottle it again this year. I mean, I'm predicting probably a 2-2 draw. I think you can't separate those two teams. And on paper, you look at Ipswich possibly winning it, but with the signings that Bristol have made, you couldn't separate them.
Yeah, Rovers are another team I've been impressed with by their signings. They brought in some really good players. Ipswich, I mean, it seems like they're confident in the team that they had last year to get promoted, which ultimately finished 11th. And I don't think that team is good enough to get promoted. And I actually think they might miss out on the playoffs and they'll probably bottle it again. For some reason, I have a feeling Rovers might cause a potential upset. I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol Rovers. I think they might nick something and might shock a few people. I think that their performance against Sunderland, I think, probably justified them getting the 3 points. As much as Sunderland fans would say that they were the better team, and it seemed like they did have the creating chances. But I think Rovers definitely gave them a good game and definitely a fright. But I think they'll get the 3 points against Ipswich.
Yeah, I think Bristol Rovers maybe could cause an upset here. Next up then, Hull Crew. Crew, of course, looking to bounce back in their League One campaign, but Hull getting a good 2-0 win over Gillingham. I mean, that was a good result for them to get in League One for the first time since 2005. But, I mean, how do you see this one going? I mean, Crew will look to bounce back, but, maybe Hull could give them the victory again. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens with this one.
Yeah, it will be, especially with a side like Hull. I mean, there's so much uncertainty with that team. I mean, they've got a massive rebuilding job ahead of them, but to get a 2-0 win against a good team like Gillingham is a good start. And I mean, obviously, with them trying to kick on and get promoted, I think it will be another Hull win, but I think Crew will find the back of the net in this one. But I feel like it might be a convincing victory for Hull. I'll go 3-1 Hull with that one.
Ooh, okay. I think with that one, I'm probably thinking 2-1 Hull. I think Crew might get one.
Yeah.
So looking at the next one, Wimbledon hosting Plymouth. Of course, not at their home, their new home ground for now until the end of October. Of course, they'll be playing at Loftus Road, so that means QPR will probably be away on that day or playing on a different day. And of course, Plymouth beating Blackpool 1-0. Wimbledon getting the 2-2 draw away at Northampton on opening day. This again is another tough one. I see the new stadium for Wimbledon as being evolution for that side. Trying to build towards possibly a Premier League return for the Real Dons. So, I mean, I think it could be a 1-1 draw. It could be a close affair. But I mean, how do you see this one ending up?
Tough to call. I think it'd be tough to call. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't expect Plymouth to get the win against Blackpool, but they went ahead and did it, and that's fair play to them. Wimbledon, I think defensively, I think they look a good team this year. I think they could. I think they could. I think they'll hold them back. I don't often predict boring stalemates, but I think that this is what this game's going to be. I think it'll be a 0-0 draw with this one.
Ooh, okay. Like I said, I was going to go for a 1-1. Next up, Shrewsbury, Northampton. Of course, both of them getting draws. Shrewsbury against Portsmouth with 10 men, and obviously Northampton with Wimbledon. Again, is this going to be another stalemate? Is Shrewsbury going to drop more points?
Again, another tough one to call. Obviously, Northampton played out an entertaining draw. Shrewsbury didn't score, but it was against Portsmouth. Portsmouth, who obviously will be a good. Portsmouth obviously will be up there this year, so credit to Shrewsbury for that. I think this will be another draw. I think I'll 1-1 draw with this one. But if I was to back a team to get 3 points, I'd probably say Northampton. But I'd go 1-1 with this one.
Yeah, I think that if I was going to back anyone to get 3 points, I would go with Northampton as well. But I'm thinking it could be a 1-1 draw. Shrewsbury get a goal and then Northampton equalise, and maybe it's end-to-end to try and get a winning goal by the end of it. Looking then at the penultimate game on the Saturday, it is Burton-Accrington. Of course, Burton just missing out on a point against Fleetwood with a 2-1 loss. Of course, Accrington with that shock victory over Peterborough. Is that going to spur Accrington on to beat a Burton side that could try and push for them playoffs in the later stage?
I think Accrington will probably carry on that momentum. I think they will, obviously. I mean, I remember 2 seasons ago, 2018-19, they started the season so strongly. And Accrington are one of them teams that you wouldn't normally expect them to do well in this division, but they shock people now and again and by staying in this league. And I think they could be on for a strong start here. I'm going to back them again with a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, and that's not disrespect to Burton fans, but I think Accrington could go with another one. And I think, a great goal by Dion Charles, and of course Tariq Uwakwe, on loan from Chelsea, with another good goal as well. And I think under the manager John Coleman, I think I could back Accrington for a high mid-table this season.
Yeah, I think they are capable of doing it. I think actually, with my prediction video, I actually had them to go down, but I think that. I mean, the start that they've had so far by beating a team like Peterborough, they've definitely got a chance of finishing in and around that position. They could well do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So final Saturday game then before we go on to our Sunday prediction. Wigan-Gillingham. Of course, Wigan lost, Gillingham lost. Which team could get the momentum on their side? Because Wigan's in all types of trouble, but on the other hand, Gillingham, loads of signings, good signings on loan from Arsenal included, and a good manager like Steve Evans.
Yeah, Wigan are in an absolute state, and it is a shame to see them like that. I remember seeing like someone put up on Twitter, like they put up like a starting 11 of Wigan's team, and it just looks so good from last season. And there's like only one of those players left, and that's Cal Naismith, I think. Yeah, they've lost so many players that they've had to. What is it? I don't know. Is half of their team made out of academy players? I've no idea. I think they've got a couple free agents in there as well, but it is a shame to see Wigan in the situation that they're in. Gillingham are the exact opposite. I mean, Gillingham have signed so many good players. Good manager is Steve Evans. They've got the potential to push for promotion. I don't like predicting against Wigan, considering their circumstances and what they're going through. They should be a championship side at the end of the day, but I think if anyone's going to come out on top in this one, it's going to be Gills. I think I'll probably go. I think Wigan will score, but I think Gillingham will edge it with a 2-1.
Yeah, I definitely think that looking on the basis of it, I think, Gillingham will probably win that one, but it is going to be tough for Wigan. I mean, looking at Wigan, looking at Charlton, looking at Hull currently as well, with the owners as well, so many teams under poor ownership. I mean, how are the... I mean, I said it in my Save Charlton Athletic video, I said it against Bury, I said it about Macclesfield, I said it about so many teams that have come and gone. How have the EFL let this happen? And the fact that West Brom's Chief Executive Mark Jenkins comes out a couple of weeks ago and says we needed to get out of that league with West Brom promoted, we needed to get out of that league. I mean, that calls for an investigation into the EFL and the Premier League. And I put it to a Pompey fan. I said to him on an Instagram Live, I said, we should have a company that owns all 4 top divisions so that everyone plays in an equal amount and everyone plays in an equal pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. The EFL is the most corrupt footballing organisation there's ever been. And it's disgraceful how they allow ownerships. I mean, Charlton have been under poor ownership since 2014. And we've been under shocking ownership for a very long time. And then obviously when we finally thought that the Belgian businessman Roland de Châtelet was gone in 2019, it just got worse there and then. And we just got put in an even horrible situation. And thankfully now it looks like we will be saved. But obviously it was too late for Bury. And that is 100% down to the EFL, and there's so many clubs that are like this. I mean, Bolton thankfully got rescued. Blackpool for a very long time, Blackburn, Sunderland under Ellis Short at some stage, Pompey, Luton, so many teams that have just been ruined by ownership, and it really is a disgrace. And that's why fan bases like Charlton are finally taking action. Obviously, I'm sure you'll be aware of the protests that have happened on 2 occasions at Charlton, obviously at our lawyer's office and then at the Valley itself. And I don't know if you know, but stage 3 of our protest is at the EFL itself and their offices. And I think that if nothing is to materialise with our ownership and things get worse, then stuff like that will happen. And I'm sure the EFL don't want that. But they really need to take a look at their policies. Their owners and directors test is absolutely abysmal. How, literally anyone... so many businessmen who have gone bankrupt over the years have been able to walk into football. Surely going bankrupt in your life is just a straight no. No, you're not financially stable to run this club. But EFL's a disgrace, and I think that I just think they just need to pack up their bags and go. Really, it's just absolutely awful. Or change your policies, because they are just a disgrace.
I completely agree with you. I mean, we were under bad ownership back in 97, 98 when we were under Ken Richardson. We were getting, he was arrested for arson because he apparently burnt down a stand. We had a funeral, we had a pitch invasion, we had Danny Bergara and Mark Weaver managing a poor Rovers team with the worst team in the league, with how many losses we were getting, how many goals we were conceding. Prince Moncrief was one of our top players at the time. And, we were a club under fire, and thank God John Ryan saved us and gave us trophy after trophy. But it's happened so much now with other clubs. We've seen the protests from clubs like Blackpool when the Oystons were there, Leyton Orient under Francesco Pacetti. I still think that was a horrid time, and thank God Leyton Orient got out of that. Rest in peace Justin Edinburgh for taking that club up through the National League and into the Football League, and I'm so sad that he passed away unexpectedly before he got to see his team in League Two. And Ross Embleton's still manager now, taking over as the assistant to Justin Edinburgh. and there's been other teams like that that have folded. Hereford United, of course, now AFC Hereford. Bury is now AFC Bury. Darlington have gone down the leagues. Obviously, Maidstone United were liquidated back in the 90s, and they're trying to fight through the non-leagues as well. I mean, it's just so many clubs. And then I see a report from the EFL, or somewhere in the news source, and the EFL apparently says they can't get rid of Rick Parry because they only signed him a few months ago. Well, hang on a minute. If clubs can sack managers in weeks and chairmen have to be forced out in months, then why can't the EFL do something about that? And like I said before, I think there should be a company like Barclays sponsors the Premier League. I think there should be a company that manages all 4 divisions so that the EFL becomes part of the Premier League and they all run perfectly in all 4 divisions, become like a Premier League. So you've got a Premier League, you've got a Premier Division 1, a Premier Division 2, a Premier Division 3, and you've got all 4 divisions ran by a great company, so it gives small clubs the financial stability to survive, and it gives big clubs the chance to not be just as big as the smaller clubs.
And that's exactly how it should be. I mean, the Premier League is absolutely miles away from Championship. The Championship is nearly there on that level. But then you've got League One, League Two, National League, nowhere near that sort of level. And obviously, with that, like a company like that runs all of the divisions would probably put a stop to that. I mean, obviously, teams like Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, like ridiculously, like okay in terms of financial stability, and they could easily like just chuck a couple million at some of the young teams that desperately need help. And like, it's very, very easy to do that. And the EFL just, man, like, ugh. Yeah, I need to go. I don't like talking about it. Just
yeah, it's, and the fact that Bury, there was suitors with financial reports, guaranteed financial reports that they could run the club financially well, and the EFL turned them away. And my theory to do with that was they had Bolton and Bury in the same situation. In my opinion, I think Bury was let go because Bolton have got Premier League experience, so it looks good on them to keep them rather than let the team with the most history go. And that's no disrespect to Bolton, but because they've got Premier League history, they think, oh well, Bury's not going to go there, we'll let them go.
And that's the mistake, because Bury were and still are a massive club. I mean, I was FA Cup winners. Aren't they? I don't know if I got this wrong, but it was either a stat like they've won all 4 divisions in the top level in their history, or I think gained the most points in all 4 divisions, but it was something like that. But Bury were a massive club and still are. And I mean, I wish them all the best with the AFC Bury. I follow them. I follow their Phoenix club quite a lot, and it seems to be going very well. They seem to be. I mean, they've brought in some good players. They seem to be smashing teams apart in that league. So I do hope they bounce back as quick as they can. And I have so much respect to Bury fans because they've shown Charlton support, because we were very nearly the next Bury. And Bury fans were saying, like, our club died, don't let it happen to yours. And they've shown us a huge amounts of support through that. And so many clubs have shown so much support. Like Brighton and Wigan in particular, a Brighton fan and a Wigan fan who were local to the Charlton area joined us in the second protest. And that just shows like the unity. I love Brighton, man. Brighton, I mean, Brighton, we did a joint protest together when they were going through a bad time, and we joint protested together, and we both hate Palace, so that's a bonus in that sense. But we did. It was such a surprise as well to see support from the likes of Palace and Millwall as well. I mean, obviously we're supposed to hate each other, but at the end of the day, it's all banter. And at the end of the day, I would never wish Palace and Millwall to go under. I'd never wish that. I hate them, but I'd want those two to hate for the rest of my life. And Millwall fans are saying the same thing, like, we want you to hate. We want you to give us the 6 points that you get from us every single season. That they always like to rub it in. But as long as we're still knocking around, I think everyone is happy to have us knocking around. You do get idiots like, oh, I hope Charlton get liquidated and all this stuff. And that, like, if you're saying things like that, it just shows how immature you are. You like to wish that on another club and things like that. And I see it with Wigan and Bolton fans in particular. Obviously, when Bolton nearly went under, you had Wigan fans giving it the big, and a year later, you got Wigan nearly going under and are very close to doing that. And I think I had a Bolton fan in one of my comments recently that said, as a Bolton fan, I really hope Wigan get liquidated. And I was just like, how can you even say that? How can you wish another team to go under? Like, I would never wish that on any club. Like, the most fierce rivals we've ever had, would never wish them to go down. But it just needs to be stopped. It needs to be improved. And it's just, you would think that Bury would be the final straw for the EFL. They're like, okay, a club's actually gone now. We need to fix this. But no, we're going to come in close to going under. Charlton were close, but hopefully we're saved soon. And it just needs to change.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it doesn't make it any easier when the Premier League chief executive gets a £250,000 bonus to the millions he already owns, and all these clubs like I mean, if your takeover doesn't go through, I mean that's I think into like end of September your deadline. I know Wigan's deadline's passed; they've been given an extra week, but I think Charlton's deadline's end of September or something before they go under like Bury did, and they'll have to start again with like an AFC Charlton Athletic and. You'll probably be playing at a low capacity stadium, and then the Valley will get torn down, which is a historic stadium. And it's just when you've got Premier League chief executives getting £250,000 bonuses, and most of the passions in the lower leagues, you've got to think it's so much better having all 4 divisions owned by one company, because having the Premier League separate from the Championship to an extent which are doing better, League One, League Two going down, it's like the Premier League are a million miles away because they've got the most money. And I think that's been probably the case since the late 90s.
Yeah, and it definitely doesn't help with the salary caps that have been added to League One and League Two, which just puts us at an even lower standpoint.
Like, I hate the salary caps. I absolutely despise them. It just makes us feel poor.
Exactly, that's it. Like Charlton, an established Premier League club in the past, can now offer players only £2,000 a week, which is ridiculous. And we can't even like anyone who comes down from the Championship now is done for. Like they are done for. Like it's not a surprise that Wigan have lost their whole team because they can't afford to offer. They like the wages that their players must be on. Charlton are lucky in that sense because our players have shown loyalty. They want to stay and willing to take the salary caps that they're now having to take, which it's just stupid. It is just absolutely stupid. It just puts us. I mean, League One and League Two are already a level below the Championship and the Premier League, and you're just putting us so many levels down. It's just it's unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we'll have to stop talking about the dreaded EFL when we get into the. I'll probably release that in a separate video now. So let's go on with our last prediction. The Sunday match, Rochdale-Portsmouth. Portsmouth 0-0 draw, and I said this to TBF Pompey. I said in his Instagram live, if they don't get promoted, Jackett will be sacked. If he doesn't get sacked, then something's drastically wrong. Rochdale, I've had them favourites to be in the bottom 4 because they've lost they've lost their best players, Callum Camps, Ian Henderson, and they haven't invested. Yes, they've got Benuzu on loan from Man City in goal, but it's not exactly going to help them in the attack. So, I mean, do you see Portsmouth starting their campaign off now with a victory, or do you think Rochdale could surprise us?
On paper, it should be Pompey absolutely running riot around them because, I mean, Rochdale, I don't know if they're going through ownership problems themselves, but obviously they've lost Callum Camps, they've lost Ian Henderson, their main source for goals. Henderson wanted to stay at Rochdale, but sadly he was let go, and they just have not strengthened. I think they've signed some players recently. They've brought in a couple of youngsters from the Premier League. I think they've signed 2 players from Man City. In terms of Pompey, I did make the call that Jackett won't last the full season. I said I think he might get sacked around Christmas time because Pompey started last season absolutely awful, and then they managed to recover to get past, but they fell short again. I think a lot of Pompey fans are kicking themselves. They're saying like, look, we're not good enough to get playoffs. And I look at their team like John Marquis, Ellis Harrison, Ronan Curtis, Ben Close, Gareth Evans, McGillivray in goal. They've got players that are more than capable of finishing in the top 6, and that's what I've predicted them to do. But it's the manager, Jackett. I don't know what's wrong there. Pompey fans just want him gone. They want him out, and I've said I don't think they'll last the full season. In the present day, though, against Rochdale, I think I don't know what to do with. I don't know what to think about Dale at the moment. They just look like such a poor side. Pompey, sharp contrast. I might go with a thrashing here for Portsmouth. I might go 3-0 Pompey. I think they might run riot here.
Yeah, I think that even though I think Kenny Jackett might get sacked at the end of the season if they don't get automatic promotion, even if they're in the playoffs and they might go well through the playoffs or they might win the playoffs, I think Jackett will still go. I'm going to go with a 4-0 Pompey. I think they'll get one extra goal. Sorry, Rochdale fans, but I think that Pompey will smash them. I think Rochdale could be in trouble this season. Because obviously we know, even though they're not in League One anymore, they're still part of League One. Bolton, Tranmere, Southend, not good starts to League Two. I mean, Southend got an absolute. If Charlton don't get promoted this season, you could be facing Harrogate in League One next season if Harrogate keep going the way they are. I mean, Harrogate Town under Nicky Weaver, 11 years, top manager in the EFL, longest running manager in the EFL and in football. If Harrogate Town go up again, and I think with Southend bottom of the league losing 4-0, Southend off-field problems, Sol Campbell gone, Mark Mosley as manager. Southend are in a whole heap of troubles. Bolton, with the new Ian Evatt system, didn't get off to the best of starts against Forest Green Rovers, who I think could be a potential promotion candidate, and Tranmere Rovers getting that draw, of course. But you look at the league where Bolton, Tranmere, and Southend have walked into. Barrow could cause some surprises. Tranmere could go up, but you're looking at it at the minute. Harrogate could storm it again.
Yeah, League Two is going to be an interesting one, but full credit to Harrogate, man, to get into the EFL was an achievement in itself. But then to smash a team that was playing 2 divisions above you and in that fashion is impressive. I mean, I know Southend are abysmal, and they were absolutely shocking last year. We're nearly on level with Bolton, like that year, and Bolton were on minus 12 points. I think had Bolton not 12 points, Bolton would have finished above them. Like that's the Southend were shocking this year. They will be nowhere near promotion picture. We're looking like mid-table, lower end mid-table at best for Southend for them. They've been in absolutely awful. I think the only team of those newly promoted sides that actually has a chance of promotion is Tranmere, and I think they've got some good players. Morgan Ferrier, obviously the former Walsall player, very, very talented player. I think he's very good. Bolton, they're saying like the true rebuild is this year, which I agree with. I mean, obviously the League One side, some of the players they did have, Ali Crawford, former Doncaster, who's still there now, very, very good player, caused us havoc in the playoffs and throughout that season. Obviously, I think that when they've gone down, they've released pretty much everyone, and they've gone with a whole new team, whole new setup again. And I think it didn't work in League One. Yes, they started on minus 12 points, and they were destined to go down from the very start. But to start from scratch again, it will take time. I don't think Bolton will win the league like everyone is expecting them to. I don't think they'll get automatics. I think they'll get playoffs at best. I mean, obviously they've got a new manager. I mean, they've got a good manager, the old Barrow manager, very, very good. What he did with them, I think Bolton will get playoffs at best. I don't think they'll get automatics. It'll take time. And I think, I've got a friend of mine who's a Bolton fan who was absolutely livid that they lost to Forest Green. And I'm just like, mate, it's the first day of the season. You're playing a very good team in Forest Green who should be up there this year. And I'm like, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to come into the first game of the season and smash them 6-0. Like, it's not going to happen. Bolton, I do wish them all the best. They shouldn't be in League Two. No way. They should be in League Two. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, League Two. Harrogate, Barrow, they could be up there. Exeter, will they finally get promoted after years? Bottling it, it's going to be interesting. There's other teams in there. Colchester, Cheltenham have got a chance as well. Morecambe might not go down as much as they would have, as much as they beat Cheltenham, obviously 2-1. League Two will be interesting. It will be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you look on paper, if you're not taking into account things like off-field problems and that, you're probably looking at that thinking, well, hang on a minute, Bolton, Tranmere, and Southend could go up. But I think looking deeper into it, Southend's off-field problems could. If Southend go into the conference and you've still got teams in there like Yeovil, Notts County, Barnet that were proper Football League clubs. Nonley's going to look very, very competitive with Southend going into there, and they're going to be an out-and-out favourites. But I think maybe Southend are under that ownership problem. The new boys in the Football League, Harrogate, Barrow. Yes, Barrow got a late draw, but I think Barrow showing some signs on the David Dunn, and Harrogate. To be fair, I sort of predicted Harrogate maybe to finish around a mid-table spot, but I think that Harrogate could be the surprise package under Nicky Weaver because they've got such a good own club, and I think if Harrogate get a new stadium to sort of replace the old one in years to come, maybe Harrogate could be a Premier League club. I don't know.
Not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout at all. But they're definitely going to be the surprise package in League Two. I think they're definitely. There's always one team that you don't expect that's just kind of like hidden from last season, and then all of a sudden they just shoot up. I mean, League One last season was Wickham, like favourites to go down, and then they've gone up through PPG, which I don't agree with. But yeah, Harrogate could be the surprise package.
Yeah, I definitely think so, and I think Morecambe could be up there as well. I mean, Morecambe, to be fair, again, favourites to go down. Could they go the same way as Wickham in a different league?
They could do it. They could potentially do it.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. Well, there we go. That's looking at the predictions then, going into League One. Bit about League Two as well. I mean, obviously, we've got to look at the teams that went up last season to the Championship. Wickham, Rotherham, Coventry. You know, Coventry didn't start too well against Bristol City. Rotherham, beating Wickham by 1-0. Slow starts for Wickham and an early win for Rotherham, but obviously Coventry need to get off to winning starts again as well. I mean, do you expect any of them to go down this season? I mean, Wickham could surprise us again. Rotherham could maybe go down that pattern again of going up and down like a YOLO club, and Coventry again, could they cause some surprises?
I think a relatively easy prediction for everyone was Wickham to go straight back down, and I think it's something they will do. I think a lot of people are actually predicting them to finish lower than Sheffield Wednesday, who start on minus 12 points. Wednesday did beat Cardiff, who will be up there. Cardiff will be fighting for promotion. For Wednesday to beat them, I mean, Wednesday could well escape the drop with a minus 12 point deduction, which would be impressive in itself. But I look at that Wickham team and I just don't think it's got the quality. They've got good players. Daryl Horgan, I think he'll be very good for them, a new signing. Fred Onidimia, former Millwall, good player there. Their centre-back, Anthony Stewart, I'm a massive fan of. He was an absolute tank in League One last year. He really impressed me in the playoff final. Adebayo Akinfenwa in the Championship. I don't know how many minutes he'll get in the Championship. And then one player that's at Wickham that just absolutely annoys me that he's in the division above Charlton is Josh Parker. We nicked him off Gillingham as a panic buy of a signing. We literally signed any random League One striker we could after Carlin Grant left. He gave 100% when he played for us, but my God, was he shocking. He was absolutely terrible. He goes to Wickham and he's in the Championship. And I just, oh my God, I can't even, oh no. But look, Parker is way better than Tomer Hemed than what we had last year. I'd have him over Hemed, but Parker was, at the end of the day, he gave 100%. You could see that. You could kind of see on the look of Parker's face, like you kind of could see, like, what am I doing at a club like Charlton? Like Charlton are massive. I was playing at Gillingham like early in January. Like, what am I doing here? And then Parker did have a lot of pressure on his shoulder when he came to Charlton. Obviously, a lot of pressure to deliver from Grant, who was our top scorer at the time over Lyle Taylor. And then Parker had big shoes to fill. Igor Vetakele got injured, who would be the preferred option in front of him. He got injured, so we had to play Parker throughout the playoff promotion, and we were all just thinking, well, then came the chant, if Parker scores, we're on the pitch, because we knew how shocking he was, and I think it did get to him, which was a shame in that sense. But obviously, when we got promoted, he was released, which was not a surprise. But anyway, gone off on a tangent to Josh Parker there. But yeah, I think Wickham could potentially surprise people, maybe like a great escape, one of those like last 10 games of the season they start to pick up form, but I just think they'll fall short. As for Rotherham, I think it goes either one or two ways. They just about survive or they go back down. I think they'll finally break that yo-yo curse, and I think they'll just about survive. I think there's teams in there that are worse than them. I think Wickham, obviously, Wednesday, as much as I think that they have got a decent team and they shouldn't go down to League One, I think that their 12-point deduction will kill them off. And this might surprise you, but I think Huddersfield could be another team down there. I really do. I think they've lost a lot of their quality players. Carlin Grant looks to be out of the door, and they've not really strengthened in other areas. And I think that Huddersfield could be a surprise team to go down. I think Rotherham will just about survive. I think Coventry will survive. I think that with the players they've signed, Tyler Walker, to get him on a permanent from Forest is very, very impressive and a very good signing. But yeah, Mark Robbins, brilliant manager with Coventry. And it's really nice to see them back in really nice to see the club like Cov back in the Championship, obviously. I mean, I really like Coventry as a club. What will be a hilarious sight, though, they're playing in their own stadium. Birmingham fans are away from the stadium. But hopefully for Birmingham fans' sake, they won't have to sit in their away end. Fans won't be allowed in stadiums for them to sit in their away end. But yeah, Coventry, I think Cov will survive. Rotherham only just. Wickham will go down for me.
Okay, very good predictions. So finally, do you? I mean, I'm probably going to ask other fans this when we play them. Do you think Doncaster could get promoted? I mean, your club could get promoted if you get taken over. It could take another year, and by that year, we could both be still in League One. We could be playing Sheffield Wednesday, week in week out next season. I never thought we'd go to Hillsborough again. I thought they were going to be in the Championship for a long, long time until we get back. But do you think Doncaster could get promoted? I mean, not too many good signs against MK Dons in terms of possession wise, but do you think maybe we could go up?
You'll be in around that promotion picture, definitely. I think when I was doing my prediction videos myself, I was just sitting there. Like, I think I got to the bottom 10 clubs from 24th to 15th were relatively easy to predict. I got to 14th to first, and I'm like, where do I put these teams? Like, I was literally thinking anyone in this top 14 could come anywhere. Like, it's ridiculously tight. So many teams have made so much business throughout this season, like Lincoln, Bristol Rovers, Gillingham, Blackpool, made so much business, and they are like the competitiveness of this league is on another level compared to last year. There's so many good teams. Donny, obviously, I mean, you just missed out on the playoffs last year, 9th place. Still a good finish, though. Very, very good
Couple
finish.
of games in hand as well.
Yeah. Obviously, PPG was there. Season before, playoffs under Grant McCann, obviously did very well. Didn't get promoted. I think you were. No disrespect to Doncaster, but I think you were the underdogs in that playoff picture. You weren't expected to get promoted. Obviously, you had a tough team in Charlton. Gave us a good game. Was nearly done us on penalties, but thankfully Marquise and Tommy Rowe were in penalties. But anyway,
that's why they're gone. That's why they're gone.
yeah. As for this season, I think that it's so tight to call this year that, as I say, like literally anyone from the top 14 that I predicted anyway could come anywhere. If I remember correctly, I think through my predictions, I did have Doncaster in 11th, which is, I mean, it's a decline from last season, but I think that with the competitiveness of the league, it will be tough. I mean, I think some Doncaster fans on Twitter that I've seen, you've adopted quite a late summer transfer window strategy where you started off quite slow and now you're starting to get this business done. Obviously, you've had John Jules, you've had Tulloch and Richards come in a very short space of time, Bursic as well, Lokilo as well coming in. You've brought in some good players to add to the likes of Ben Whiteman, which keeping him feels like a signing in itself to keep hold of him. I think that you definitely can challenge. I'm not writing you off in any way. I think you definitely can challenge. You're one of the better teams in this division. However, with the teams that would be challenging for the top, obviously you've got Oxford, you've got Peterborough, who've had slow starts, but ultimately we will see them at the top. Hull, you got obviously Portsmouth, you got Charlton, who hopefully will be in and around that picture. Wigan potentially if they sort stuff out. Ipswich, Sunderland. There's some good teams in there. I would, if you were to get playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me with the squad that you have got. I think you're definitely capable of doing it. But I think at the moment, I will stand by my original prediction. I'll say that you will just miss out. I think it will be close. You'll give it a good fight, but I think it will be just missing out. Maybe even come down to a final day job, potentially.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be. First of all, Marquise has gone to rot at Portsmouth and Rowe's gone to rot at Bristol City, so we've got rid of them after that playoff semi-final heartache. Second, yeah, I think with the late transfer business kind of thing, I think it wasn't really late. I think it was people thought we were stubborn in the transfer market, but I think I saw it as a way of we're not stubborn, we're just interested in top targets only. We're only interested in the highly rated targets, and that's why we got the business done. And with the loan deals with John Jules, with Richards, with Bursic, with Tulloch, we did everything on our end. It was just waiting for the parent clubs to come back to us. So we did everything on our end, but I think the slowness came from the Premier League Championship clubs that we were getting them from. Another signing that we made, which I think could be good late, it could come on eventually, Ed Williams from Kidderminster Harriers. I think he's a highly rated non-league midfielder. Loads of Kidderminster fans messaging me saying, he just needs a decent team around him, and I think League One could be his league. So hopefully he'll kick on eventually. And of course, I want to get promoted this season because it is Coppinger's final season. I mean, we touched on it earlier. James Coppinger, man. I mean, that guy is just 17 years at one club, and I mean, I saw the EFL on Quest program a couple of nights ago from the fixtures, from the results, and they were talking about it, and I think Paul Cook said it. 17 years at one club. I mean, you couldn't write it off. It was just, he's a legend, and he'll go out as a legend no matter what happens.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He's, as I say, 17 years at one club is such a massive achievement in itself. How old is he now? 39, isn't he?
Around 39, 40.
Jesus Christ. And he's still knocking about, which is a credit to himself. But yeah, he'll go down as a Doncaster legend. And he's still a good player now. He still is a very good player at this level. And I think that I don't know how many minutes he'll get as a regular starter. Obviously, as we touched upon earlier, obviously some of the young up and coming prospects from Premier League Championship clubs that have now just pushed him down to the bench. But I think that, I do hope he still gets game time and he goes out this season in style.
Yeah, hopefully he will be going out as a legend like he's done for the past 17 years. And to be fair, we were touching on transfers. Cameron John on a permanent transfer. I really didn't expect that because he's a Wolves player. I thought they were going to keep him for the under squad, but we got him on a 2-year contract for a nominal fee. Some of the business we've got done, I didn't even think we'd expect, because Tulloch's getting a lot of attention on social media. Outside fans telling us he's highly rated. We've signed players that are, Bursic, England seakeeper, future Stoke #1. We're signing some good players, and like you said, we could be a threat this season. But with the league so competitive, maybe it could be tough.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, as I've said, I'm very impressed with your transfer signings. Obviously, the youngsters you've come across, Cameron John on a permanent from Wolves, as you say, something not you'd expected, but to get that over the line is impressive. Yeah, you've done business in the transfer window. Done very well. League One clubs have been mental in the transfer window. Like, so many deals flying about the place, and then you've got Charlton, who just can't sign anyone more because we've apparently got a full squad, which is not the case at all. But yeah, hopefully that's fixed, and then we can start going guns blazing, and then everyone will just sitting there thinking, Charlton are just going to absolutely run riot and win the league now, aren't we? But I'm not expecting us to win the league. I don't think, to be honest, I'm not even expecting us to get promoted. I think with everything that's going on right now, I think to get promoted in itself would be a miracle again, like we did in 2018-19. Obviously, we weren't expected to go up. Even though we finished third, I don't know if you agree with me on this one, even though we come third, we were a massively underestimated team. No one really was talking about us at all. Like, everyone was going on like, oh, how good Luton were, how good Barnsley were. They were fantastic. Like Pompey, like Sunderland, I think even you guys got mentioned, and we're just sitting there like, you're not going to talk about us. And then I was just sitting there thinking, like, we'll watch. You'll be talking about us for months to come, and what do you know? We end up getting promoted. I actually feel like we were more underestimated than you guys were, even though we finished 3 positions above you, and we were very, very close to automatic promotion. We were very underestimated that season, but yeah, I just want us to sign players. I just want us to bring in new players.
Take positives, though. You've done more transfer business than Man United, so take that as a positive.
Yeah. We've actually nicked one of their players. Nicked a Man U player, Dylan Levitt.
Yeah, Dylan Levitt. And we were linked with Kovar and Garner. Obviously, Kovar's gone to Swindon, but I think Garner's still available, so we could still get him as a partner with Gomez or Whiteman, depending on how tough that midfield is.
We may as well raid all of the top class Premier League players. Like, League One is, in my opinion, League One is the best league for Premier League youngsters to come down to. Charlton, for example, have had so many. Christian Bielik from Arsenal, he was an unknown identity. Went out on loan to Walsall and he got injured. No one really knew of him. We took a gamble on him. Look what he's turned out to. Like Poland, under 21 Poland international. Josh Cullen was another one. We got him on loan from West Ham, and then he re-signed on loan for us in the Championship, which is a miracle in itself. And then sadly he's gone, which just breaks my heart. But
especially at West Ham, who are in a dire situation.
Yeah. He'll probably get minutes for them, knowing them right now. But yeah, I do. But yeah, this league is so renowned for so many Premier League youngsters. Like, how many Premier League youngsters have come into League One this season? There's got to be at least about 50, or maybe even more than that. There's been so many.
It's got to be between 25 and 50, something like that.
There's got to be. And this is the perfect league for players to make a name for themselves. And even academy players. Like, I mean, for example, for Charlton, our academy is one of the best in the country. Like, we're renowned for that sort of thing, for bringing up players from nothing and then selling them for millions upon millions of pounds, which then never gets invested. But we're renowned for that. And our academy players, obviously, as I touched upon earlier, most of our players of our 23-man squad, which has been capped, is made up of youngsters that have never played for our development squad, and they're playing as if League One. They've been here for years, and that's how it's great. This is what I'm not all too disheartened that we have gone down, because League One is a few years ago, League One, I hated being League One. It was a poor league like 5 years ago. Now to see it nearly on the level of the Championship with so many like former Premier League clubs down here like this, it's a bloody good league. It is a bloody good league, and I think that I'm really excited for this season. It's going to be such an interesting one with Premier League youngsters, with the academy players potentially coming through, and with some of the business that's been done for the players. It really is. It's good to see League One at this level, especially. Even with the salary caps, it's a competitive league, and as I say, very nearly on the level of the Championship in terms of competitiveness and how unpredictable this league can be.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So there we go. That is our preview. Doncaster versus Charlton at the Valley, Saturday the 19th of September at 3 o'clock. Of course, you'll be doing your preview, I'm sure, before the game as well, as I will, once we get more of an idea of who's available in predicted lineups and things like that. But Tyler, thank you very, very much for coming on to the CHALL.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Really enjoyed this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll hopefully do more of these with other fans of Football League clubs as well. Obviously, we didn't do it with MK Dons, but the MK Dons supporters have been very vocal in the comments down below the video, so that's all right. And for now, guys, I'm the CHALL. Please like, comment, subscribe for more, and goodbye.